VocalEye Almost Live Zoom, The Great Blue Heron, hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guest Rose Wilkin.
So a big welcome to you all to this VocalEye Almost Live event. I'm Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director here at VocalEye. I am your host for these Almost Live events, and I'm a member of the blind community myself. And, I do this every week. So some of you probably have this little speech memorized because I love to tell you how much I love you and being a part of this community and how much it means for me to spend Wednesdays with you all, and how grateful I am to just have you in my lives. I think it's really lovely that we get to gather on Wednesday nights. So thank you for your kind words, your testimonials, any donations that come in. And if folks are connecting with us on YouTube, you can like and subscribe and go to our website, vocaleye.ca, and join our newsletters. You can write testimonials as well. So there are lots of ways that you can connect with us, and we hope that you do. VocalEye is broadcasting to you all from the traditional and unceded or stolen lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So, since we're going to be watching a National Film Board of Canada documentary this evening called The Great Blue Heron, I wanted to know a little bit about the Great Blue Heron. And I didn't realize until I went to invite our special guest this evening that the Great Blue Heron is like all over Vancouver. It's very important to Vancouver. And so I wanted to know how Indigenous peoples who are local to the area of Vancouver, colonially known as Vancouver, so Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh, how it is connected to indigeneity. So here's what I found. The Great Blue Heron holds deep cultural, ecological, and symbolic significance for Indigenous peoples in and around the Vancouver area, particularly among the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. While teachings vary by nation and family, several shared meanings are commonly reinforced. So one of the shared meanings is a teacher of patience and presence. So the blue heron is a symbol of teaching and patience and presence. The blue heron is known for standing very still for long periods before striking. Many Coast Salish teachings associate the heron with patience, focus, careful observation, knowing when to act. The heron models a way of moving through the world that values attentiveness over haste. It's also a shared meaning in balance and self-reliance. Herons often hunt alone and rely on their own skills to survive. Because of this, the heron is sometimes understood as a symbol of independence, self-trust, balance between solitude and connection. So this does not mean that it is isolation, but rather knowing one's role within the larger ecosystem and community. Another shared meaning is connection to the land and water. Herons live at the edge of water and land, especially in the estuaries, shorelines, rivers, and waterlands, spaces that are central to Coast Salish life. Because of this, the heron is closely tied to healthy waterways, food systems, seasonal knowledge, stewardship of land and water. The presence of herons is often seen as an indication of ecological balance. And another shared meaning is observation and wisdom. Because herons watch quietly and act with intention, they are sometimes associated with wisdom gained through listening, learning before speaking, understanding patterns over time. In this way, the heron is less about power and more about knowing when and how to engage. So that is some of the ways in which many nations, I suppose we can put it in that context, that many nations think about the blue heron and how it is involved in the teachings that they share with their communities and their families. So with that, I wanted to tell you all tonight about what we are going to experience, which is the National Film Board of Canada film called The Great Blue Heron, and we have a special guest with us tonight. So, Rose, why don't you come on in and join us?
Yes.
I
Hi.
think I've got Rose. There's Rose. Hello, Rose. How are you this evening?
I am good, thank you.
I'm so glad you're able to join us. Why don't you give us a little bit of context about who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, I am the Urban Wildlife Programs Coordinator at Stanley Park Ecology, which is a nonprofit based in Stanley Park. And one of the main, major parts of my job is running the Great Blue Heron Monitoring Program. So there is a colony of great blue herons that lives right in Stanley Park. And during their breeding season, which runs from March to August, I and another staff member or two go to the colony every 2 weeks and take note of how many herons there are, how many chicks, how many eggs. And at the end of the season, I write up a report on how the colony is doing, how they were doing this year compared to previous years, if the colony size appears stable, if their rate of breeding appears stable, all things like that.
Hmm. How did you how did you come across a job like this?
Oh, well, uh, so I've been living in Vancouver for a few years, and I actually saw the posting for my current job because my roommate sent it to me. So the environmental nonprofits generally post job listings on the website goodwork.ca,
Hmm.
as well as various other places. So that is a platform for job postings that are related to helping the environment in some way.
Did you have a background in like environmental stewardship or anything like that before taking on this position?
Yeah, I am a wildlife biologist. I have a master's degree in ecological restoration, and I have worked studying other types of marine coastal wildlife. I studied double-crested cormorants and pelagic cormorants in the Salish Sea. I also have worked with sea turtles.
Oh,
So,
that is super cool. Um, so you didn't just happen upon a job like this. You were trained. It's ingrained in you. It's part of your DNA, my friend.
yes, I've always loved animals and the ocean and the edges of the ocean, really, where there's animals that live in and out of the water, which is why I love seabirds so much. So that includes herons, of course. It was one of the big reasons I was interested in this job was because I love it was because of the herons, but I also love the cormorants that I've worked with in the past, and I've been enamored with many types of seabirds.
That's pretty cool. I could probably name five seabirds on my hand, and that's about it. You know, like it's just not a thing that I think about that often, um, which is really sad to say out loud. And I bet you after watching this documentary, I will have a whole different perspective. Because I used to be one of those folks who watched a lot of like National Geographic and those kinds of documentaries and stuff. But to be honest with you, those things really focus on, I would say, a lot of like exotic places and things. Um, and so I didn't focus a lot on like what was in my own backyard. I was often like in the Amazon or in Africa or, you know, focusing on those kinds of mammals mostly. So I'm really excited to dive into this because, like I said in my intro, I didn't even know that the blue heron was so connected to Vancouver and Stanley Park, which was a big part of um, the life of Indigenous peoples here before settlers arrived. So that's also a great interest to me. So I'm really curious about this. Um, Before we start the film officially, I'm curious about your reporting of the colonies over the periods of time, and if you've noticed decline in colonies or um, an uptake in birth rates. What can you share with us about that from your past reporting?
Yeah, our data on the Stanley Park colony suggests that the size of the heron colony is currently stable, as well as the number of chicks that are being successfully raised to adulthood each year.
Mm.
It's, I believe this year the total number of chicks was slightly higher than last year, but there were more nests, so the rate of success was slightly lower. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a stable number. Like if you know much about data science or like confidence intervals in trends year to year, it's there's not a significant difference in the population size or the success rate over the last 3 years that we can tell. It seems pretty stable.
Okay. I'm guessing that there'll be some information in this film about some of that stuff. And also, we have some time to chat with you afterwards. So I'm sure that we
Yeah.
will um, add some more stuff to what you just said. So I'm really excited. I know that this film is something you haven't seen, and it's something that I haven't seen. And hopefully, it's something that the folks in our Zoom room haven't seen. So it'll be fresh for all of us to witness together, and then we can come back and chat about it. Is there anything else, Rose, that you want to set up about the blue heron, or something that we should know about the context of the blue heron before you think we should dive into this film?
Yeah, I'd love to say that the Stanley Park Heron Colony, which I study, is a really special and different colony. So this documentary may uh, share some facts about herons that are not exactly true for the Stanley Park colony.
Mm.
It's a special colony that is much more used to humans and comfortable around human noise than most colonies are. Uh, in general, great blue herons will be much more shy and easy to scare away than the ones in Stanley Park. And they also have this trait that some great blue herons on the Pacific coast do, which is where they don't migrate. So the ones that live here in Vancouver actually don't migrate during the winter, although it is a migratory species.
Very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna take that little context nugget and tuck it in my brain as I'm going through this film. So, all right, I love that. Let's sit back and have a listen and a watch to the Great Blue Heron. This is a National Film Board of Canada film. Let's do that. Rick, when you're ready, hit play.
Due to copyright restrictions, this feature presentation has not been recorded. Please check below for more information, including links to the material if it is hosted elsewhere.
All right, friends, that was the Great Blue Heron from the National Film Board of Canada. So I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. Rose is back with us. Rose, what are your initial thoughts about this documentary?
Well, I thought it was some beautiful shots of the baby herons, which I love to see because I think they're really cute. But a lot of the time, it's pretty difficult to get a good look at them because when they're very small, their parents will still be sitting on them.
Uh-huh. And they're probably pretty up high in a nest.
Yes, they are. They are pretty up high. Although with our surveys that we do of the Stanley Park colony, we do have a vantage point on top of an apartment building in the West End that lets us look down and into the nests.
I thought you were going to tell me that maybe you had spy cameras, the webcams that people are putting now around animal habitats to spy on animals. So when you are like for you particular with the Stanley Park colony, when you are trying to count chicks, what is the best time to do that after hatching? Like 2 weeks? Or you wait till they fly, or?
So we count what chicks we can count
Right.
every survey, every 2 weeks. They definitely become easier to spot once they're about 4 to 5 weeks old,
Mhm.
because at that point their parents can't cover them completely by sitting
Right.
on them anymore. They when they hatch, so a great blue heron egg is about the size of a chicken egg, a little bit larger, maybe the size of like a jumbo chicken egg. Uh,
Okay.
but the adult great blue herons are, of course, over a meter tall typically. And so they will grow to over 30 times their weight when they hatch from
Right.
when they hatch to adulthood. So they grow an enormous amount over those 4 months that they're in the nest. And it's pretty quickly their parents are not able to cover them anymore, which is fine because they are growing so fast, they need a lot of food. So once they're big enough that they can be left alone safely, both parents will be off foraging and coming back with food just constantly.
Right. At what age? Well, maybe that's not the question I want to ask, but like I'm trying to think about the difference in like the Stanley Park blue herons and the ones that we just sort of witnessed in this documentary, and the differences and the similarities in them, because I imagine, I don't know, you were saying that the Vancouver based ones, the Stanley Park based ones, are a lot more comfortable with people. Makes total sense because Stanley Park is full of people,
Yes.
and not in the wild. So it it makes me wonder about the impact that that has on the birds itself, in terms of like, do they generally live longer than birds in the, I want the air quotes, the real wild? I don't even know what to call that. You know what I mean? Like the unhuman populated wild, or without human interaction.
We don't really have data on that
Yeah.
because to get that information, we'd have to put bands on the herons and track them from year to year. And that's just not something that's been done with this colony. So uh, it is feasible to find that out, but it hasn't been done for this population.
Yeah. Um, because I imagine that they come back to the same spot every year, right?
They do, yes.
To nest and all that kind of stuff. I missed in the documentary, and so you can remind me. Do they mate for life?
They do not mate for life.
Okay.
They're what's called seasonally monogamous. So
Uh-huh.
at the beginning of breeding season, they will choose a mate, and then for that breeding season, they will be monogamous with that mate. They will raise their chicks together with that one mate, and then at the end of the breeding season, they'll split up and choose a new mate the following year.
Okay. How is that? This is going to seem like an obvious question though, but how is that beneficial as opposed to birds that mate for life, like penguins? Penguins mate for life, right?
My favorite example is albatrosses for
Okay,
that. Yeah,
albatrosses. Great.
yeah. There's benefits to both strategies for uh, animals that are seasonally monogamous. They're of course maximizing the number of partners that they have,
Yeah.
so their offspring will have a variety of genes.
Hmm.
There is also the benefit for mating for life, can be things like having a bond with that partner. That means you save time, the birds would
Yeah,
save
yeah.
time and energy doing like searching for a mate, and doing, although they do still do courtship displays.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. Okay. I want to just make sure that our folks in the room, I'm going to open the participants list here, know that if they have any questions, want to reflect on the film, want to share any thoughts, that they are most welcome to do that. Okay, we already got a hand. This one comes from Ben. Come on in, Ben.
Okay. Remind me, your name is what again?
My name is Rose.
Rose? So, Rose, did you have a chance to watch this before you brought it to VocalEye? And did you contact VocalEye or did they contact you?
I did not watch the film ahead of time, and it was VocalEye that contacted myself.
We found the expert.
Well, that was my question. That was short and sweet. I'm going to say to you guys, have a good night.
Good night, Ben.
Thank you.
It was actually the National Film Board of Canada that recommended that we reach out to you all. So there you go.
Oh.
Yeah. They've been a great
We'll see you guys. I believe it's next week.
Next week is February 1st, so that'll be a blackout date for us, Ben, but we'll see you on the 8th.
We'll see you the following.
You got it. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Yeah, so they've been really instrumental in helping us source out guests because they've seen the films. And so it's helpful for them to say, yeah, we got some really great guest opportunities. And I thought you guys were the coolest. So there you go. There you go. Sorry, did I cut you off? The magic of Zoom.
Sorry.
Nope.
No.
Oh, Megan, is that you? Want to come in, Megan?
Yeah. I love how so was it mostly in the St. Lawrence River? Because I could hear a lot of the howling wind and when I talk about the ice. In the St. Lawrence River or the Arctic? I could hear it. You hear howling wind. It sounds like if it's that St. Lawrence River. Are they usually from the St. Lawrence River, or are they the Great Blue Heron originate from?
I had a hard time hearing that.
So what I heard was a question about whether the howling winds in the film are over the St. Lawrence River, and they definitely are. It does get really cold and really windy over there.
Good ear, Megan. Good ear.
I've been on the St. Lawrence River, but I did not see the Great Blue Heron on it. I'm really sorry about that. I went to one part of it, but I really wish I would have done it again. But it's really cool, and it's very nature-based, and I love it so much. And that's amazing. Thank you so much, Rose.
Was the second part of that question whether the Great Blue Heron originated from that area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rose, do you know where it originated from?
So the Great Blue Herons did evolve kind of throughout North America, although they spend the winter months further south, like in the tropics. Although that's not the case for the ones we have in Vancouver. The ones that live on the St. Lawrence River certainly migrate south for the winter. If you think about it, we don't get the Fraser River here in the lower mainland freezing over in the winter, for example. So it's still very possible for the great blue herons around here to forage and fish in the winter without having to leave the area. But of course, the St. Lawrence River freezes right over, so they wouldn't be able to feed there.
That's very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Rose. Thanks for the question, Megan.
This is Rita. I also have a question.
Okay, let's do Nancy first, Rita, because Nancy came in first, and then we'll go to Rita. Come on in, Nancy.
You answered my question about when did this all happen, in the spring or the winter, and you guys were so close. How close were you guys to take pictures when they made that sound and everything else, and you got to be there? Like, how close were you?
Nancy, I think you're a bit confused. Rose didn't make the documentary.
Oh.
Yeah. So Rose is here as our special guest because of their she/her pronouns, or they/them pronouns, Rose?
Either is fine.
Either is fine. Because Rose knows a lot about the blue heron, the great blue heron, and has a master's degree around this topic, and so it's just offering us perspective on the bird.
Well, it was beautiful.
But I
Thank you.
think that the documentary must have been shot maybe in the 80s.
How long ago was this document done? Like when?
I think maybe in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Excellent. I just love the sound of it, just wow. Sounds like I was like, it was right in front of me, more or less. How'd you guys get so close? Wow. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Long lens cameras.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably used a very long zoom lens for most heron colonies. Again, not like the Stanley Park colony. For most heron colonies, they're very sensitive, and if people get close to the colony, they'll get scared away, they'll fly
Well, that's
away,
just,
they might even abandon their nests.
especially when the mother is feeding and they don't want anyone around there, and they protect their animal, their birds, right?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Thank you for doing that. That's wonderful.
And so if they abandon their nest with chicks in it, then they abandon their chicks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Those are big stakes for sure. Rita, you had a question or a thought.
I have some questions about some details about, they gave pretty good descriptions, but like for instance, they said they have it could be like a 2-meter wingspan, but how tall are the birds themselves? Like how, okay, once they open their wings, okay, that's how wide they are. That's what the wingspan. But how tall are they? They're long legs and long necks. So how tall are they?
Yeah, that's a great question. Their height would be about a meter to a meter and a half on average. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then the other thing that they said was they're much more colorful at first, and then later on the colors fade. So, but are they still blue? Is it some kind of a shade of blue all the time? Is that why they're called the great blue heron?
They are sort of a blue-gray shade. So their feathers are not a vibrant blue like a bluebird. They're more of a gray blue, and their feathers are definitely more vibrant during the breeding season, the mating season, but they also get more color in their beaks and legs. The documentary mentioned that that's probably because of increased blood flow.
Right. But that color, I mean, that's not, is that red blood, or is it, do they also look more blue? What do you think? Could you see from the film? Like, were their legs more red than blue or something? The beaks and their legs?
Their legs aren't red. They just seem a bit more saturated in color.
And is that how they get their name, is from those features, more the features on their beaks and their legs as opposed to their wings?
Their name does come from the blue-gray color of their feathers.
The feathers.
And the term great in their name comes from the fact that they are so large.
Yeah.
They're the largest, some of the largest herons and birds in that family.
Okay. So are there other herons? I mean, that's the one thing I don't know. It says great blue heron. So are they, small herons, small green herons, that kind of thing? I mean, is it a whole family of birds?
It is a family of birds. There's a lot of other herons. There are green herons, there's night herons, there's also some other types of birds that are in the heron family. They're not called herons, like bitterns and egrets. One fun fact I love about the great blue heron is their scientific name is Ardea herodias, which actually means heron because Ardea is Latin for heron and Herodias is Greek for heron. So they're heron.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's cool.
Great. Thanks.
Awesome. This is why you have an expert, because I could
Yeah.
never, I would never know any of that stuff, and neither did we, right? So Rose is our lens. That's awesome. So mating season in Stanley Park, I think you said it starts in April? Is that
The breeding season, the legally defined breeding season, which is relevant for when certain works are allowed to be done, is March 1st to August 31st.
Okay.
The herons generally start their breeding activities in Stanley Park around the beginning of March, but they'll typically be finished before the end of August.
okay? So we are right on the cusp of breeding season.
Yeah, last year they were kind of exactly on time almost. It was February 27th that they started in on the colony, so just about exactly on schedule.
So what do you all do in order to prep for mating season?
So we have volunteers in the West End that will keep an eye on the colony and let us know when the herons arrive in the area and also when they start going into the trees and choosing nests. We also have metal flashing around the trees that they nest in, and in the lead up to the breeding season, we'll make sure that's all
Audio now
in
unmuted.
good shape.
Space. Speech on.
So metal flashing is basically like a metal sheet that's wrapped around the trunk of the tree, and it prevents raccoons and
Climbing.
similar animals from climbing up the tree trunk, and then they can kill and eat the chicks. But since 2010, I believe, was the first year that Stanley Park Ecology put up the metal flashing, there have been no raccoon predation on the chicks, so that's great.
Yeah. So you just put that up at breeding season then, obviously, and then you take it down?
It stays up year round, but some years we need to maintain it. Like this past winter, the flashing fell right off of two of the trees, but the year before that, they were completely fine and we didn't need to do anything. So it just depends on whether there's damage to them.
Right. I heard Lori's screen reader go off. So Lori, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I enjoyed hearing the birds because I love nature. Love being out hiking and hearing the birds and to hear how they were chirping and how you could hear little chicks and everything come out. It was just like I felt like I was out in nature again. I enjoyed hearing that and stuff. And are they different colors for them, or are they just one color for that bird for the?
There's not a lot of variation in color between great blue herons. They all look pretty similar. Even the males and the females look similar to each other.
So are they like a dark color or a light color?
They're a light bluish gray.
Okay. They just sound neat. And so in the way of describing how they were mating, it's like, oh, did not know that before.
They're the kind of bluish gray that you would see in a carpet.
Oh, okay.
You know, like Rose was saying, it's not a vibrant blue like you would see on a t-shirt, but
Like
the
a
kind of
sky
thing you would
blue?
see on.
Like a sky blue?
No, because a sky blue you wouldn't see on a carpet,
No, you wouldn't.
right? It's kind of like a neutral gray, bluey color. So like you could potentially see that on somebody's carpet in their house, right?
So you see like a mixture of like blue and gray together, sort of.
Yeah, like yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's great questions.
Sorry, I have a question which might be a little bit stupid, but I want to ask it anyway. So they were talking about how they have to keep the eggs at an even temperature the whole time, the same temperature the whole time. Now, okay, I can see the male and the female exchange it and stuff like that, but how about chickens? I mean, okay, this is not your expertise, but it's the same idea, birds, right? So So usually a chicken sits on her eggs, and the males don't exchange with them because there's usually only one or two males around there. So how do they maintain those eggs at an even temperature? Like, do they share each other's eggs, or what happens?
Yeah, it's not my area of expertise. Although, for the most part, when domestic chickens lay eggs, the eggs will be taken away from them. So it wouldn't normally be a concern unless someone was trying to hatch eggs with a domestic chicken. And I actually think when a farmer wants to hatch domestic chicken eggs, they'll use an incubator and not let the chicken incubate them themselves.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay.
I don't know how chickens would divide that labor.
Okay. All right.
That's an interesting question, actually.
It is. It's a good
maybe
question.
maybe when we do our social chit chat, I'll ask Mr. Google. Find out
Okay.
the answer for
And I
Joel.
can give you a little bit of an answer when we have social time.
There we go. Rose, why don't you tell us if people want to connect with you all at the I'm gonna get that wrong. Ecology. Can you remind
Stanley
me?
Park Ecology.
Stanley Park Ecology. Thank you very much for that. I feel like it's getting very late, but it's not even that late. What other programs do you run, and how can people connect with you, whether they're locally here in Vancouver or could be out of province, could be out of state or province, in the US who are joining us. So how can people connect?
Yeah, so our website is stanleyparkecology.ca. And on the website, we have a section for urban wildlife, and great blue herons are under there. On that page, you can find links to our frequently asked questions, downloads for our heron reports. As I mentioned, I write a report for every breeding season. There's also a link to our Adopt a Heron Nest program, which anybody can do. You don't have to live in Vancouver. It's for a donation. You can symbolically adopt a heron nest. And if you do that, you will get a certificate of adoption, digital certificate, an information package, a tax receipt, of course, and as well as a periodic newsletter throughout the breeding season that I write myself with updates on how the colony is doing, how many herons were there the last survey, as well as some anecdotes sometimes. Like this past year, we had a nest that got started really late at the end of May, but managed to successfully raise their chicks to adulthood despite the short timeline. So stories, anecdotes like that will be in the newsletter. And Adopt a Heron Nest donors will get that newsletter. There is also, we have some in-person programs. We have tours of the heron colony 2 or 3 times a year. Those will mostly be from late April through to July because that's the best time to visit the colony. That is the time when the chicks start to poke their heads out over the sides of the nests, and they also make a lot of noise at that time. So if you love the sounds that they make, it's definitely great to visit the colony and hear them squawking. So the heron colony tours will be 2 or 3 of them in the summer. If you want to stay on top of what programs we have and when those are going to be, there is a program newsletter that we have that you can sign up for on the website. Another thing we do is we have a webinar at the end of the breeding season to recap, share those numbers and anecdotes and some of our favorite photos from the season. And that webinar is free for Adopt a Heron Nest donors, but is also, I think, $5 or something like that for donors. So it's open to everyone, but it's complimentary for heron nest adopters. And if you have questions about the great blue herons or any of our programs, you can email me at urbanwildlife@stanleyparkecology.ca, and I can answer any of your questions or pass you along to someone who will be able to.
Awesome. It's really awesome, Rose. Thank you so much for coming out and being our guide for this National Film Board of Canada film called The Great Blue Heron.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's really great. And we've given an honorarium. I guess it's a donation. How does that work? I guess to the.
I think it's an honorarium. Yeah.
Well, we've made a contribution to Rose for the time they've spent here this evening. So thank you very much for all you've done, and we really appreciate it. Best of luck for breeding season.
Thank you so much. We are the next thing we're doing is putting back up the flashing that came down, so we'll be doing that in the next couple weeks.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna be checking that out, and maybe I'll see you on a walk. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend. We appreciate everything. Thanks for joining us on VocalEye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.